And we're live.
Tonight, guys, what we're going to do is something that I've been looking forward to all year. As you know, in the Straight Up Fishing app, we've created something called the Angler Development Program, where we basically sponsor a couple guys in their tournaments. And this year, our Tier One Angler Development Group is Brian Barty and Ken Pfeiffer. These guys are going to be fishing the BFLs. Is it the Northeast Division? Is that what they call it, guys? What do they call your division?
Northeast.
Northeast Division. So in this particular division, they're going to be fishing the Potomac River, Champlain. I want to say Oneida. Was those three, or is it four? It's probably five, four or five.
St. Lawrence and Oneida,
It's
and
St.
then back
Lawrence
to
and
the
Oneida.
Potomac.
Back to the Potomac for your super tournament, which
Report.
they definitely named this particular series correctly in the Northeast, because that is not close. Those are not close for BFLs at all for the Northeast. But I guess in all actuality, that's probably about the only lakes that can handle that size tournaments. I would like to think, depending if I'm thinking they should get 100 plus boats. But one of the things that we're going to do for this that I'm most excited about is we're just going to look at the lakes that they're going to fish together and just come up with a strategy. Now, a lot of times you're not going to figure out how to win the tournament here talking over Zoom, over Facebook, over here in the app, but the whole point of this is so when we show up to the tournament ramp, we at least have something to go to. You want to try to as much as possible to avoid just showing up to the ramp and not having a clue where you're going, what to expect, what the weights are going to be. That's a bad place to be in. We want to try to prepare. And so basically what we're going to do is Barty and Ken, this first tournament, Ken he actually lives there on the Potomac River, so he's going to have a catalog of things and he probably already knows what's coming down the pipe. Barty, if I'm not mistaken, is this your first time going to the Potomac River?
I've been there once
Once. He's been there once.
for
So
about 4 hours.
so yeah, so I know what that's like when you've been somewhere once, or if you've been one, if even if you've been somewhere 4 or 5 times and you haven't been there in the last 3 years, it's almost like showing up for the first time. And so they've been working really hard to gather some information, some intel on what's been going on, what it takes to win. And so what we're going to do tonight is just look at it, all three of us together, and you here in the app too. I would love to have you guys like to chat up with, any suggestion if you got experience there, or if you got questions about breaking down lakes, because really and truly, breaking down a lake is the same for no matter where you go. There's a process. There's a template that we're going to look at, and we follow that process regardless of where we go. Now, how we actually execute on what we find out sometimes can vary, but overwhelmingly the same process works everywhere we go. So we'll just start digging into it. And if you remember, some of you are new in the app, and a lot of you are OGs. Ken and Barty, I feel like they've been here at least since the very beginning, if not the beginning, very close to the beginning. And so we did a lake breakdown series in the Fall Fishing Academy back this fall, and kind of laid out just a template that you could follow. This is basically the way that I break down lakes, and a lot of people break down lakes this way. Oftentimes, it's a little more unconscious when you do it, but wrote it out on paper, and I looked at a lot of people's lakes that are in the app, from all the way as far as Washington out west to down in Florida to North Carolina to up north. We looked at some of you guys' lakes and we broke them down using this process. And so I want to actually just use that same process to 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 cipher through the information that you guys already kind of came up with. And so when we were doing the lake breakdown back this fall, there's basically, I mean, there's really only three steps that we follow, and under those three steps, there's some, I guess, some subheadings that we can follow. But there's only three things, and this is what we're going to look at for the Potomac River. It's very simple. You want it to be simple. You want it to be easy, because then you can repeat it over and over. If it's complicated, number one, you're going to confuse yourself. Number two, it's hard to repeat that, because sometimes, like, you come up with a plan And then you get there and you're like, oh yeah, none of this works. And so you don't have 4 weeks to kind of re-strategize. You need to be able to come up with something quick. So you want it easy, almost to the point to where when I say this, you're gonna be like, ah, bro, I could have figured that out myself. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point. That is the point, is that you should be able to figure this out on yourself and easy and do it at, whenever, on just on a whim, almost literally on a whim, like midday, you should be able to redo it again. And so those three things that we just want to look at, we just want to look at what are resources available to look at this body of water. And so that can look like the internet, that can look like tournament results, fishing reports, paper maps, DNR sites, published books, DVRs, books, tackle stores. Those are just some, not all, but a lot of the resources that you have available to you that you can use to break down lakes. Um, Number two is what's available in this lake. And so when we talk about what's available, what species are we fishing for? I know that sounds like low-hanging fruit, but literally, what species are we fishing for? What's in the lake? It's very important. What structure is in the lake? Oh, that sounds like low-hanging fruit, but when you start to put these pieces together, it makes a beautiful picture. What I mean by that, does it have grass? Does it have rocks? Does it have docks? Is it current? Is it tidal? We're gonna get into all of that. The boundaries and limits. Where can you and where can you not fish? On the Potomac River, it actually can get, that's something you definitely want to know at least. And boundaries and limits can have different layers. Where can I go and where can I go? Not only this, where is the biggest population in this lake? Where I want to say I'm not going no further than this up the river, or I'm not going any further down the river than this because this area fits my preferred way of fishing. So how we break down these lakes, what are the boundaries and limits we're going to follow, and then what type of fishery is it? All I mean by that is the Potomac River is obviously it's a tidal river. We just want to know those things going into it because there's some steps that we can follow once we know that information. So, um, Marty, would you feel comfortable sharing with us, just like some resources that you use to find information for the Potomac?
Yeah. So I used a lot of web searching. So first thing I looked at was tides. What were the tides for that week? Right, because we're going to fish Thursday, Friday, before we get
Right.
before the tournament on Saturday. So I wanted to know what the tides were. So I looked at the tide charts. Bunch of web searches, actually, an overwhelming amount of web searches. You talk about make it simple. I'm at the point now where I'm a little overwhelmed. Right,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have like I have four plans. I went and looked up some books, looked up and then studied the maps. So Google Earth, right, and
Yep.
the bathymetric maps from Lorentz, the C maps. So what I do is I actually take my Lorentz app on my iPad and
Yeah.
I'll just sit there and I'll look at all of these um, spots. Talk about structure, right? So
Hmm.
is there structure in areas that I found that would be the right, say Belmont Bay or what was the other one? So Pohick or Little Hunting Creek or Aquia. And what I'm looking for is I want to see, is there something? Unfortunately, I can't see the weeds. You
Right.
just have
Yeah.
to be
That's
there
the
to see
only
that,
part
right?
about
So
grass
there's the
lakes.
weed growth, right?
Yep.
But is there is there rubble? Is there ditches? Is there something that I could go essentially go check out and then look at the weeds, right?
Hmm.
So that's
Yep.
kind of what I'm thinking in my head. And unfortunately, um, I have I don't know if yeah I don't even know if you guys can see this, but I have these little green dots on this map for the Potomac River. Um, it's kind of overwhelming because
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
and found all these little ditches and marks and rubble and these old mining sites and where they were essentially dredging the river and dumping stuff and um, so yeah I need help actually simplifying this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I have 2 days and then a tournament. So in 2 days, I have to pick which of those little green dots I want to go check out. You
Yep.
know.
We'll get you headed in the right direction because 2 days it does go by fast because and it goes by faster on a tidal fishery because not only do you have 2 days, but you only have a few hours each day of optimal tide, which makes it a little bit like it slims your time down a little bit more. Because the times I've been in the Potomac, it's always been it's probably just the style of fishing that I like too. But there's one tide or the other that tends to be the most productive for me. Doesn't mean that's the way it goes, overwhelmingly. My man, let's go. So yeah, we'll dig into that. Barty, we'll get you. We'll get. I think you by the end of this, you should feel like, oh, that's the only place I need to go.
Yeah.
Ken, let's talk to you about this. Did you really need to do anything with it being a home body of water? I've got some experience with fishing at home too. Did you need to look at any kind of resources or use anything to figure out where you wanted to fish?
I don't know if it's maybe I'm overconfident, but I'm very familiar with the Potomac River,
Yeah,
and I've been my club fishing for 3 years, and I'm always a co-angler.
yeah,
So that's been good and bad. I mean, the excellent part of it is I fished with many different boaters. We fished different areas, and then sometimes we fish the same areas, but they fish them differently. So it's
yeah,
been a eye opener for me to see, and I've been on the boats that my boater has won the tournament many times.
yeah,
Not
yeah,
me, but
yeah,
and I know Barty, you're looking at all this stuff. Everything looks good on the map. However, the Potomac River is all about the grass. It's going to be
yeah.
all about where it is, where it's not. It's strange how some years it comes up and some years it doesn't. You have some places that are consistent, but many places the grass changes and it
Hmm.
either doesn't do well. And one thing we have is we have commercial fishermen who put nets out in these areas and they rip all that grass up when they take the fish. And sometimes that grass doesn't come back. It takes a year or two for that grass to come back. So places change all the time. And the thing I would tell you is you can be overwhelmed. Yeah, you start looking at stuff and you go from mile to mile and there's all kinds of good looking stuff. But until you go out there and actually see the clarity of the water, until you see the actual grass, that's when you're going to figure out whether that's good or not.
Yeah.
And then
I,
of course I call it the front and the back. You have when the tide's finishing and when the tide's starting going out. So you have that probably at least 2 or 3 times in a tournament. If it changes right, you'll get all four. You get the front and the back of each one. But generally, you'll have anywhere between two and three movements of water. And
yeah,
I also tell you, the bass don't follow the books. They don't read the books. They don't do what they're supposed to do.
yeah.
Um,
Absolutely not. Potomac, I tell you what, I will say this compared to a lot of places I've been, the Potomac follows it a little bit better than a lot of the other places that I go. I mean, like you come here
yeah,
to Hartwell, like you can just throw a book out of there ain't no books, or they write a new book every few hours. But I will say, like the Potomac, like chances are, if it looks good, there's
yeah,
probably some fish somewhere around in there at some point during the
yeah.
tide, most likely.
The thing being a great, outstanding place is just the wrong time.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
or they're laying on the opposite side of where you think they're supposed to be.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
shallow. They get in behind the grass. There's a little stretch of land sometimes between the grass and the shoreline
Yeah, that's
because
good.
behind that, all protected. So
Yep,
you
that.
gotta you gotta really figure it out. And I'm hoping to help Brian as far as on those days, but I don't know if I'm cutting to the chase. But we go look at all the grass all over the place, and then you probably pick 1 or 2 spots, and you
Yeah,
really dissect. We need to
yeah,
see how they are, how big they are, where's the current, because there's current inside a current. You got the main river current, you got the windblown current. There's all kinds of different currents that run through there, And right, it's a great fishery, but it can throw you off many times.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that you want to do, Barty, is like when you find an area on the Potomac, you can almost go there and throw the keys away and maybe move once or twice during the day. It's not a place like you. If you want to fish, let's just you mentioned Pohick a couple times. If you go in Pohick, you probably gonna stay there at least most of that tide, if nothing else. And then what I like to try to do is just try to figure out how to fish it on both ends of the tide. Um, so let's start digging into it. So obviously, what's available. This is gonna be really easy. The what's available part. We already know we're fishing about for largemouth for this deal. There's nothing to talk about there. Um, Ken was already getting into it about grass. It's grass, man. It's just grass. I will say this: I have top 10 there not fishing grass before, fishing wood like docks and stuff like that. And so one thing that caught my mind when Ken was talking about, sometimes there's no grass and sometimes it comes up or it's too late or the commercial fishermen dredge it and pull all the grass up and doesn't come back. I don't know how much rain y'all have had up there, and that does affect the grass and how fast it comes back out because it's water clarity. If the water's dirty, the grass a lot of times doesn't come back as vigorous because obviously it's shaded out. So, I would say in the event that you get there and you just can't find a lot of grass, if you can't find a lot of grass, sometimes then I do start to look at the hard structure there. But also, I've never fished a hard structure in the spring like what you're going there. It's always been the fall, or early summer, June. We never go there until June. May, it could be a lot different. So, like you
Yeah,
mentioned, the number one thing that I would go there looking for is just where's the good grass at, and you already know and I'm telling you, this is something you can count on. If I haven't seen it, this Okeechobee's like this in certain ways, but it moves around more. But I feel like I guarantee you, there's gonna be about 3 or 4 places that are gonna play. From what I remember, even Pohick, it probably is not gonna have any grass unless a lot's changed since. Did I go there last year, 2 years ago? I want to say. There wasn't much grass in there. There wasn't really much grass past. I didn't find much north of what's the flats? Was it some flats right above Greenway Flats? I don't remember much grass past that,
yeah.
and that was really low even then. What was it? Have you seen any grass up that way, Ken?
We don't generally go there at all, but that's the
Yeah,
rumors is going north into DC, the grass is not returned.
it's not returned, man. The first year I went there, I actually caught them in Broad and Piscataway, and I have not seen a blade of grass up that way since then. And
Yeah.
so,
Before
like
you
you
go
were
past,
talking about all those dots and stuff, I can't think of a reason for you to really go any farther north than. I mean, you can check the Greenway Flats. Somebody always ends up top 10 when I go to the Greenway, when I go there on the Greenway Flats. And that's just basically going to be the first flats that you see on the right hand side past Belmont. And there's another place. What do they call that place, Ken, right before? I'm going to look at it here on the map. So now you come out of Belmont and you hook a left going upriver. There's a little area right in there that always somebody top tens there. Let's see what they call this.
Gunston,
Mm, so I see on the map it says, you know how sometimes they call something something and then on the map it's not really that.
they have nicknames, but it should be Gunston Cove
That sounds right. It's on the main lake almost.
on the way on north of Popic.
No, no, no. No, not Gunston Cove. Come out of Gunston Cove. I see that, but it's right
Yeah,
on
what
the
is
main lake. You're gonna see it's like a little bay right there on the main lake. What I'm seeing here on my map, just say you come out of Belmont. You come out on the main river and you see how it's just a little bay right there on the main lake. Yeah, right there. Let's see. Go where were you at, Michael? Zoom out so I can get a perspective where you at, if you don't mind.
that?
So Belmont. So come over here. Let me show you my map. So,
You see the doors locked.
where am I looking at? So this is Belmont Bay right here. All right, right there on the main, right, come just a little bit above that arrow, Michael. Where's Belmont at? Yeah, right there. Right, see that Elizabeth Hartwell Mason Neck? You see that bay right there? You see the Elizabeth? You had your marker already on it. Go down, Michael.
Bring it north.
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
this one.
Right there where you at. That. There's always grass
Yeah,
there. I don't know what they call that. But there's always grass there. Somebody always does well there.
yeah. So Marty, you see Belmont Bay, right? To the left.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on the
So yeah,
list too. Belmont,
yeah,
Mattawoman, right? I mean, those are clearly on the list to go check out.
Man, that's a
where you're.
lot too, Barty. Yeah, I don't
So
know.
much.
Well, what I'm trying to tell you is like in 2 days,
Yeah,
I don't know how in at least in one day you don't just fish Mattawoman and Belmont. You
Yeah.
could potentially. I mean, I could fish there 3 days just in those two places. Between this is what I'm showing you right here on the main lake. You see where that like that Maryland just right over there in that bay right there.
Yep.
Like,
I
that's
wouldn't go.
that I
I
wouldn't go
wouldn't go
further
past.
north than that. Mm-mm,
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Hey, Brian,
There's just yeah.
if you didn't
Now,
have local insider knowledge, how would you go about figuring out this area, or do you just kind of need to have the local insider knowledge?
Tournament results at the Potomac River. It's the same always has been, and always will be the same. Let me tell you why it's the same. Um, the reason it's mainly the same outside of how much grass used to be up north, it's going to always be the same because it's tidal, and the water goes in and comes out the same way forever and always until the end of time when the earth blows up. It's always going to be the same. It's never going to change. And so those fish have to go where they go because the current is pulling and pushing their food to them in the same area forever and always until the end of time.
yeah.
It's just not going to change. It's not
So
going to change.
So
can I take a stab at that? Because I just my perspective is, I haven't been there and I've been doing this research, and it's interesting that you pulled out that bay because
Hmm.
in my research and looking at Google Maps, right, reading
Hmm.
results, doing internet searches, reading books, that bay's on my list.
Hmm.
Like
right,
I have
Good.
5 different green marks in that bay,
Yep.
right.
as well as Belmont and Mattawoman and Pohick and Aquia, right? So now I'm not saying I can go to all of them, but that's how I did it, and it's
Yeah.
interesting because I came up with that same answer, at
Yeah.
least one of them.
Uh,
The,
hey,
the,
Mike,
the what's good?
I got
Go
something
ahead, Ken.
here. Hey, can you zoom in where the green dot is to see the dots?
Mm.
So we were there 2 weeks ago. Normally,
Okay,
you're
which where are you looking for?
right there where your cursor is. If you zoom in, there should be some dots.
Yeah. Right. There's a dock down through that side.
Go. You can almost see the chicken right there. So 2 weeks ago, we tried to fish those docks, but there wasn't any fish. It was extremely muddy. But if you went out about 100 feet, there was a grass line,
Cleared
and
it
we were
up.
catching outside there. You can almost see it where it's dark and then lighter
Mm.
green. And there was at least 20 boats in there also doing the same thing. But we were well off the shore. So that's going to be the difference as you progress throughout the summer, is they're moving back and forth according to that grass.
Yeah.
Right now, the docks are good, but they probably will be good. Maybe not in May, but they'll be good in June.
Yeah. That 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 area right there, you see how the current's gonna come, like the current can't help but hit that on an incoming tide. So
Right.
a good way to think about that spot right there on the main lake, and I learned this saltwater fishing, Barty, is like that spot right there. I would imagine, and Ken, you know, you know you've actually been currently fishing that. Something like this, I feel like is a better incoming, low and incoming, because look how it's pushing all that, like it's just jamming the current right into the face of it.
Right.
On the outgoing, it's going to be pulling everything away from that bay. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
so if you found something in Belmont, Belmont, you can fish in or out. But let's say you fish in Belmont, you get your 10, 12 pounds, get started today right off the bat. There's gonna be 800,000 boats in there, but it doesn't matter because they're always in Belmont, and that's the way it is. And then you come out here on incoming. I don't even know what the tides are yet. We'll get to that part, but that might be a better place to fish on incoming is something like that. But long story short, what I'm trying to say with that, something I learned with saltwater fishing is I fished the main, any kind of main river structure on incoming tide. And then on outgoing or when it's coming out, the further I go back inside the creek, because all it does is it pulls all of those fish out of those little
Pulling
nooks
that
and
off.
crannies. And yeah, they just go to the last deepest water, or sometimes not even the last deepest, just whatever's left. They just hang there and just wait for the tide to go back.
Yeah.
And then all of that is generally speaking, okay? Like that's all generally speaking.
Right.
That's a good guide to get you started. Is I'll fish the main river structure on incoming, and then I'll work my way back into the creek. It can be main river, it can be main creek, but that's a rule of thumb that I've followed, and it generally speaking, it's worked good for me. But those two areas right there between Belmont and whatever they call that bay right there is really good, man. Like there's always fish somewhere around there. They don't have anywhere else to go.
Right.
And Ken has already confirmed that there's grass there.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Ken, would you say, especially early in the season, if there's grass there, there's probably fish there, I would imagine, because there's not going to be grass everywhere.
Right. Right. You're looking for grass. I mean, you might have to go, 100 yards to see a little bit more grass. Um, but looking for. And the grass helps you in many ways. One, it's going to make the fish feel comfortable, and they're going to come in there. And then it also gives you something for your lure to kick the grass,
Hmm.
make them. So that's why you want the grass. Um, but I also
That's
want
where all your
to say,
food lives there, too, I would imagine, because I imagine they're eating brim and crawfish and whatever lives in grass.
yeah, yeah. So and then since you're talking about this area, that place where it says Virginia, Maryland, that whole shoreline there can be good.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's
Yeah, it can.
in the sense that depending on the tide and depending on the wind, there'll
Hmm.
be some that are cleaner water than others. It may only be 100 yards, but it has cleaner water. And that's the spots you want to try to get. Mostly the river is always like a stained water until you
All
get
right.
to late in the when the grass cleans everything up.
Yeah. Hey,
So,
so Ken, how about this area? Let's look at that right. Hey, Michael, can you zoom in right there where you see it where it says Virginia? Your bottom left hand. Yeah, right there. Zoom on, zoom in there, zoom in, zoom, then scroll
right.
just a little bit, push it to the right. You see there,
Yeah.
you jam in there a little bit tighter, Michael, so we can see that riprap. That I've caught them in this here. Go a little bit further into the creek. Okay. Uh, yeah, you can. Yeah. All of that area right in there, somebody's always done well in that. I don't know if it has grass or not. Um, but it's a really unique. It's so obvious. There's this little riprap and stuff around there, and right up
Right.
against the riprap, like there's no grass, like Kim was talking about earlier. And you can, I mean, you could. I'm talking about you got to get so simple. Don't go down there trying to be complicated. You could throw a weightless and go in that little gap. You see the little dikes.
Yep.
It's like a little gap that big between the dike and the hydrilla or whatever they got in Potomac. I mean, it's literally like just a little bit of gap, right? I mean, something as simple as soaking a daggum stick bait down the side of that thing. Yeah, dude, it's so the Potomac River gets so obvious. You be like, really, y'all really sitting right here? Like everybody sees this, but they have to go on those places. Where else you gonna find riprap on the Potomac River?
Right.
It's only that spot.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a state, so that's built there to protect the erosion for the state park.
that state park that's right there. You know, and then
Yeah,
obviously you can get all out there in those flats, and there's grass usually. Those are grass flats all out there. You know, several hundred yards out from that, all of that. Um, but like Ken was saying, it seems overwhelming, and then it becomes pretty obvious because somewhere the grass is going to grow taller, somewhere it's going to grow shorter, somewhere there's going to be pockets of clear water. Generally speaking, anytime you're looking for you're fishing grass, just a little bit clearer water is almost always the deal
yeah.
there. Um, I was about to say something. I forgot what it was. Let me go back to this notes here. I was about to say something about that.
Going in, keep going from
If my
top to,
key go in,
yeah, keep going, keep going. I want to get to the end of this.
hmm
So let's see here, when you get to the end, uh, give me one more. Yeah, okay. Keep going. Right in there, right there where your cursor is. So yeah, so back, yeah. So somewhere in that 200, 300, 400 yard section right there, probably about 50 feet out from the shore, there's been some illegal dumping from decades ago. There's concrete piles. There's two distinct piles somewhere where that cursor is. Yeah, they're sitting out
yeah.
there. Not, I mean, that's easy to find, but that could be, sometimes they're sitting right on that concrete. And
Oh,
that's about Potomac River. It's a whole bunch of that has occurred over the decades, and there's hard structures that are in the bottom of the river that you either find by mistake or you just come across it one day. But those can be excellent sometimes. Pretty much
Ken,
a lot of people, you know,
uh, have the fish been biting pretty good there this early? You said you've been. Have they been biting, or has it been kind of like tough to get
really well.
bites?
Aquia and Quantico Creek is hot right now.
Even
Uh,
Quantico, huh?
yeah, Quantico Creek and Potomac Creek, the one just below it.
Yeah,
They've been on.
yeah,
They're on right now. I mean, the bad part for Barty and I, it'll probably be over by the time we get to May 10th. You know,
yeah. That's just
but
next week, and it does go fast, doesn't it?
in Aquia, the grass is coming in thick and clean and nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't because we had a pretty harsh winter.
yeah.
It's in there pretty
But
strong already.
but I know here it was kind of dry. We didn't get a lot of rain though, so if you don't have a lot of rain, sometimes the grass comes in. That's the thing.
Yeah, we're
If
definitely
it's
in a
not,
drought. Yeah,
yeah, that's good. That means the grass is going to be good because the river's going to be clearer than normal. Um,
yeah.
so that's going to help. Hey Ken, do you want to show them that spot that everybody always piles up in Belmont, that where the creek kind of comes in, that flat beside there? Mark, can you
Yeah, keep.
scroll go in Belmont Bay a little bit more? Somewhere right there in the middle. Yeah, right in there. Somewhere
Yeah.
right in there. Behind that island. Behind that what is it called? Conrad Island? Is that what it's called? They get right there where the
So
cursor is.
yeah, so there's basically, I don't know, maybe it's a mile square right there in
Mm-hmm.
Belmont. Any of those places can be good. It's all depending on the current and depending on the grass. And throughout that whole area, there's logs in there occasionally. They're not visible. There's concrete in there sometimes. There's there's little ditches. Now they're interesting because they're either from somebody dumping debris and grass doesn't grow there, or they're like a log that's buried in the silt and it doesn't allow the grass to grow right there. But these
Mm-hmm.
little canals for the bass, they use them to get from spot to spot, and they come in, and that water can be, like a 6 or 8 inches deeper. So they like to hang down in there, and it's amazing how many times you spook a bass by running your trolling motor real fast going
Oh
through there.
yeah.
You'll
100%.
see they are not scared of you. And they're not worried about that. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but one is the key that I've learned by being in these other boaters is you have to have long casts. You have to get
Yeah.
your lure boat to catch those bigger fish. So that's the thing, and I'm probably jumping ahead too,
No, jump
Barty,
ahead. We're here to jump.
gonna have to get used to fishing close to people. There's gonna be 50 boats inside of Belmont.
Yeah, yeah, half of the field.
You cross each other, you talk chit chat to each other, and you just keep fishing. Don't
Yeah,
let them mojo. Don't let if you're confident fishing there. I've been there and seen 50 boats, and we're all catching bass. So
everybody.
everybody,
It,
yeah.
that's
So
grass fishing 101, by the way, Barty. Okeechobee's like this. A lot of the Florida lakes are like this. Oneida can be like that because it's grass related a lot of times. You almost go to the boats. I
yeah,
mean, I know that sounds bad and it goes through against everything that everybody's talked about on social. You say, "Oh, I don't want to get on the bent pole pattern." Okay, well then go home with a zero then, because the the boats are there because the grass is right in that area and they're biting there. And most
right.
people will just sit there and catch them all practice. That's just how people are wired for some reason. And I
Yeah.
think Ken, do they not spawn on that flat behind that island or something too? They
It's
probably
only three.
do.
Maybe there's a 5 foot hole here and there, but it's 3 or 4 feet. I mean, our tide only changes about 12 to 14 inches. It's not going to
Right.
change a whole lot, but it will be noticeable. I mean, you'll see it when the water's above the grass, and you'll see it when the
Yeah, you're
water's
gonna
below
see
the.
it.
You'll see it, and the grass should be in really good shape by the time we get there May 10th. I mean, it's already coming up, so we're good. If we're real lucky, that island, especially on the bottom section of it, if you're real lucky, the bluegills will spawn right there. And when they
Got
spawn,
you.
the big bass, so if you're lucky, that could be like a 4 day event. If you're there at the right time, there's some big bass that come in there through that. And you'll see that the water's clean there. Because right to the left of Conrad Island is a channel, deeper water. That's the
It's
actual
deep. Yeah, it's
river
really deep
channel.
actually.
Real shallow on that back Conrad Island, and they'll spawn. You'll see these great big holes for the bluegills, and you all you need is a chatterbait, Cinco, or something. Just throw it in there, and they're all over it. But it's gonna last about 48 to 72 hours.
Hey, so Ken, let me ask you this: Have you are the spatted dock, is that out or does that like go dormant in the winter there?
They're not up to the water top yet, but they're slowly building. I mean, this is a great time because you can throw swim jigs through them. You can throw
Right.
occasionally crankbait if you see a particular hole or something like that. They're
I
not
bet they spawn on that. Do they not spawn on that?
winter. Yeah, so if Michael can go up, you know, towards the top of the screen,
Yeah, right over there. There are always pads right there, all
you got
across
French.
that bank right there.
Let's go to the left of Frenchman Point. Yeah,
All
so
down through there's pads.
the spatter dots
Mm-hmm.
on the shoreline,
Yep.
and it'll be again another unique thing. The boats are in the spatter dots. You just go in them. Just go in them, flip. I use your gremlin. Use that gremlin in there, and just I'm amazed at how close you are to the bass and still catch them.
Yeah.
But they're in those lily pads, and
Yeah,
by
all of that'll
May,
be lily pads right in there.
water. Yeah, yeah. So there's a
I never
and
go
there's
past that. Do you, Ken? Do
yeah
you ever go past that point?
that first dot is very good.
Yeah.
That covered dot right there that you see, that's really good. A lot of people fish all those dots. Um, yeah, I wouldn't go past the bridge when you get to I think it's
Yeah.
Route 1. I wouldn't go any farther. Those docks can be good. Um,
I've
but
never caught one past that point.
yeah, that first bridge right there, I wouldn't go any farther than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I have a buddy that almost made the All-American up there, but I've never caught anything past that.
One of the problems we're gonna have in May is it's a 15-inch limit, so you need a good sized bass.
Yeah, it's always that when I go there too. I don't
Yeah,
know why. I thought it was. I thought it was 15 inch.
you're gonna you're gonna need 15 inches to win. You're gonna need good
Oh
sized bass.
yeah. Well, I mean, to get a check probably even too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Michael, Belmont Bay, to the right of Belmont Bay, there's a creek way back in the Belmont Bay.
Yeah, yeah,
There.
right there. That's what comes out the other end that we were looking at, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or no?
But like Brian said, when the tide's coming out, that mouth can be really good because it's pulling all that food out of Canes Creek into Belmont. So I've fished about a half a mile into that. I wouldn't go far.
Yeah,
That water gets skinny, but
yeah.
it's but I really like that mouth, the mouth of that Canes Creek when the tide's going out.
Hey, before we leave this area, um, Barty, like, let's talk about some baits. Ken, I don't feel like I feel like I'd rather ask you about baits, but I know the good thing about the Potomac, man, like you'd be better off if you carried almost like three rods up there.
Yeah.
Um, like a stick. I cannot say it enough. A stick bait, a stick bait, a stick bait, because you can flip it, you can wacky rig it, you can drop shot it, you can Texas rig, whatever you need to do. You just gotta have that, okay? Like I know it's
Yep.
not exciting, and I know you want to have something cool to do, and I know you want to dip the ties and have it. Look, you just gotta do that, okay? You just gotta do that. I know you like to fish a jig a lot, and I don't see how you could go wrong with that either. Like flipping, like a lot of guys just flip the grass. You don't see it. You might not even. So this grass we're talking about, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong. You're probably not gonna see this grass at this point. Like visually
Uh,
see it.
yeah. I mean, low tide you'll see it. But
Yeah,
you'll feel it in your lures and
you
stuff
feel
like
it.
that.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
feel.
you'll
But
feel.
you even when we were there in June,
Right.
I think that was in 23. You don't see the grass. Like you don't see it. Like you don't see it. You're not gonna walk. You're not gonna drive into Belmont and say, "Oh, there's a grass patch there and a grass patch there." Not quite this early. When you go back in September, it's gonna be everywhere. But you probably won't see it, so you'll have to fish a little bit to find it or side scan. Sometimes it can be too low to really see anything side scan, but you have to side scan or something like that. But baits, man, just go. uh, One thing that I got in my breakdown is what feels familiar to you. And we have been talking a lot about grass, but if you like flipping a jig, just be real familiar with what you're comfortable with. And there's a way to, like in Belmont Bay, there's a way to catch bass the way you like to fish in there.
Oh yeah.
So if you want to fan cast weightless stick baits all over them flats, you can catch bass doing that. There's docks in there. There's even some docks over there. Michael, if you come out of Cane Creek and just head, I guess that would be north a little bit on the map. Yeah, right. There's docks right, those two or three docks right through there, right there. Yeah, right in there. That doesn't seem like a lot, but those docks have really long catwalks. Can you zoom in on those, Michael?
Mm.
Those are big docks. So let me tell you, you see something is very special about those two docks right there. Even though they don't look like much, you can fish a tournament between those three docks. I know that sounds crazy. Like you can fish the whole tournament between those three docks. Let me tell you how. All right, you see on the bank there's some trees that are really close to the water. So on high tide, there's a hole where those trees create shade. Those fish will get in that. All right, where those docks come out, I don't know if grass would be over there just yet, but where those docks come out, there'd be a hole where the catwalk runs out into the lake. The fish get
Yeah.
right in those holes under that catwalk. And you flip your jig in there, he got to have it. And I kid you not, those long docks like that, you can sit there for a whole tide cycle and catch those fish. I did it on the James River. I'm telling you, you catch like 10, 15, 20 bass off of those three docks. That's the only thing they got hard to pull to. And so when you
Yep.
got hard structure, the fish just go up and down with the water. They'll go a little bit lateral wise. They'll go from the bank or to the high tide. They'll go up under those trees or something like what I talked about. Overwhelmingly, they're just going to follow the water on that dock. Low tide, you got the gap where the grass was under the catwalk and the landing, the deck on those docks. So that's something that you can flip. So when you look at these areas, you really want to look at the fine details because it's got something for everybody in there. Look at that dock right there. You see, you got all those several slips there. There's two. There's a marina that I fish. It ain't much to it, and I've spent 3 days there before. And I go there and I don't leave at all. I don't leave at all. You can fish your jig there. I do really well on spinnerbait on the Potomac River. I don't think anybody throws a spinnerbait there. Probably why. Um, but I just roll my spinnerbait down the side of the dock pilings. You gotta have it because everybody's throwing chatterbait. Everybody's throwing a chatter. Who's not throwing a chatterbait? I come there with the spinnerbait and they knock the handles off of it. Um, but pay attention to that stuff because the fish are in these areas. Like you wouldn't want to leave these areas to go to Pohick or
Yep.
somewhere up around. You don't want you're going away. Can you catch some fish up there? Maybe, but you're definitely going to a smaller population of fish. There's no doubt. It's just so much for these fish to use in this area. They got spawning grounds. In the summer, it'll be mats everywhere, so then they can just eat like crazy there too. So um, pay attention to the very, very small details when you're in an area like this because it's got something for everybody. You can crank. I don't know. Ken, is it gonna be too late to throw a trap across any of that grass? Maybe.
Probably for that
Probably a
section,
little late in it.
river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But what I use, I have a baby minus one knockoff, and so it goes about 6 to 8 inches under the water, and
Right.
that does really well.
Good. Good. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. Like Ken likes to crank. You like to flip your jig. When you get in these areas, we're talking about this and that, but like really look for the structure that feels familiar to you and how you've done
Yeah.
well fishing, Lake George or something. Like there's something that you do. This is what I'm trying to say. I should have said this. There's something that you do at Lake George that's in Belmont Bay.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to say. Something that you've won your club tournaments with at at um at Lake George or Champlain that's in that bay, or Mattawoman or Aquia, and that I think I wish people would told me that earlier on because I would look at the old FLW tournaments and I would go look at all this stuff and I would try to do what what I'd been told or what I saw and not realizing like no dude I could have done the same stuff that I learned how to do like it on the Saluda River in Belton, South Carolina. But I just didn't know any better. So so
And when you say that, I think you talked about this at the retreat, confidence.
yeah,
And if I have confidence and I feel like each cast is a fish, that's what I want,
you're gonna do good.
right?
Yeah,
I,
you're gonna
I
do
don't
good.
want to go fish Ken's game, right? I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
fish Ken's day. I have to, and that's exactly what I think you're alluding to,
yeah,
and that's what I
yeah.
found. And you taught me that over the last couple of years, and that's why I went from kind of mid pack to I ended up with angler of the year, and then the reason why is
Yeah,
I went and found my fish.
yeah, you find your fish. On a place like this, the areas do mean a lot. Like it means it's almost everything. But uh, if when you go to Belmont or you go in Mattawoman, there is something in those creeks that will relate, that will feel familiar to you. I
Yep.
promise you, there will be something that you can relate to because you're gonna find when you go to Belmont, when you get in there on tournament day, like Ken was saying, let's just say y'all have 105 boats. There will be 50 of them in Belmont. There will be. But you're going to see guys that are out fishing the flats. You're going to see some guys up flipping the pads. You're going to see somebody's going to run up in the aquacorn for some reason, and then they're going to idle out in an hour because they ain't going to catch nothing up there. But there's going to be boats scattered all over the place in there, and there's all these different little techniques there. But the biggest thing you need to pick up is that bay is good because it has all the elements of life in it that you need. Um, let's scroll over to Mattawoman. Can we do that? Michael, if you come out on the main lake and come straight across, it's the first creek, a little
Go
bit
down.
further south.
There you go.
There it is right there. There you see it a little bit. Um, let's see. So I don't know. Let's look at this. Zoom out just a little bit, Michael. I don't think I've never really caught anything at the mouth before. That where his cursor is right now, there's usually some grass right there. Um, whatever that long point is. I don't know if it'll be out just yet. Ken, have you ever fished that stretch right down through there? Ever?
I'm very familiar with the whole of that Mattawoman Creek.
Yeah.
I like,
Uh,
I like the just inside the mouth. They got the little
the
curly
stretch just
thing.
inside? Oh,
Yep,
really?
yep.
I've never
This
fished that before.
one at the top gets very shallow, but
Yeah.
they're in there. And there's a little rock on that little point there.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's probably better at a high tide, but yeah, all those
Okay.
areas. And then to the left, Mike, bay right there could be really good.
Yeah,
Left
that
of the
big
curve,
bay has grass in it. It's
yeah,
it's it's really shallow, but it's good though.
it's good. Yeah, and then again, they have gaps in there. It's about finding those little nuances.
Very little nuances, like so tiny, man. Like this is not stuff, Barty, that you'll like ride around at 35 miles an hour and see. Like a lot of times
Right.
on the Potomac, it's like this if you fish Missisquoi Bay in at Champlain. I know first time I went to Champlain, I remember everybody talking about Missisquoi Bay, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm like, and then I get up there and I'm like, dude, there ain't nothing. I'll just make a little sachet through there. I'm like, dude, there's nothing here. What is everybody talking about? Woman is going to feel like that to you. Every local that you
Okay.
ever talk to is going to talk about Woman, and what you're going to do is you're going to make a sachet through there. You'll be like, dude, the creek is this ain't even 5 minutes. What are you talking about? There's nothing. It's just straight banks. If you settle down and you start paying attention to what's around, there'll be like a log in the grass.
Mm.
Um,
Right.
there'll be a place where it's like a little hump and no grass around it, or when you fish the lily pads, around the lily pads, there'll be like, like a stretch where the current just rips right down inside the lily pads or the no, spatted dock. When I say lily pads, just forgive me. That's the way I call them, just because it's easy. But by the spatted dock, and it might be 4 foot instead of 2.5, or 3.5 foot instead of 2. It's these little bitty intricate nuances that's the deal there at the Potomac. Um, a lot of times, one of my favorite things to do at the Potomac is, and this might not work yet, I don't guess, Ken, is I guess this is when it's a little thicker. Um, the hydrilla grows right up to the spatted dock a lot of times,
Yeah.
and it creates these holes. The spatted dock creates a hole. It's almost like just how we talked about the dock. Keep in mind, you got this big circular dollar pad looking thing over the top of the grass, so it's hollow, and it's only about that big. Only it's only about the size of my iPad, but that's plenty
There'll
big
be
enough for
no sunshine.
no sunshine there, so it
Yeah.
makes a hole.
Yep.
And
Yep.
dude, I swear, like Marty, you will see the bottom, and you swear if there was a bass there, you would see him, and you flip up there, and it's boom. I mean, you would
Yep.
swear you would see him. Uh, so all that little stuff, nothing's too shallow on the Potomac. All those little intricate things like that, where it just makes a little bitty hole for a bass. I mean, like a 4 pounder can get in a hole that big, a 3 4 pounder, which is a 3 pounder is a good fish, by the way. Okay, that's a good one.
I
That's
want
gonna be a good
5 of
one there.
those.
Yeah, you're gonna want that for sure. Probably nowadays with forward facing, you might need 3 3/4 or better. But he can get in that hole. He can, I mean, just a little hole. He can get in it. So like you have to kind of get in there, settle down, and just start looking, and then it just kind of comes to
Be
you a little bit.
be observant.
It- yeah, it's not going to be impressive when you go in there. I didn't think so. Ken may feel a different way because he lives there, but hearing all the stories about how good Woman it was, and you get in there and you're like, this this is not that cool. Like it's not that impressive, and you feel like you could fish through it in about an hour, is what it feels like. But then when you start paying attention to all the details, you're like, oh man, there's all kind of things here, all kind of
Yep.
things. Um,
And that's what I've realized too is find those nuances, right?
yeah,
Find
right,
the rock, that one rock that's sitting in the weeds, um,
yeah,
the laydown that nobody can see because it's underwater.
that little stuff. That's
Right.
that's the deal there.
Yeah, and
Um,
thickness of the grass. It's also there's a current inside of a current. So, those are the things that you not see until you're on the water and right in that area. We could spend two
yeah, and
days
slow.
So,
out.
so according to Wikipedia, this is the bay we're just talking about, or the creek. Mattawoman.
Right.
So they talk about, when you were on the map, it says off limits 50 yards either side of the fish release area, including the entire marina, breakwater
Yeah.
point to dirt point. What is that?
It should
Huh.
be the two next to the ramp. The ramp should be farther up, farther north. Yeah. It should be
Yeah,
the
the
next.
next one.
No,
That's
that
not
was it.
tournament ramp.
It's not.
No,
I
that
thought that was
Mm-mm,
Smallwood.
mm-mm.
I
No,
think that's
Smallwoods.
different.
Uh, hold on. I kind of got lost when he moved that time. It should be almost where his the cursor. Well, let's see.
Cursor
That's the
was.
little island. Yeah, right in there. Isn't it right there, Ken? Right there where he's at now? In that is that not it or no?
That's,
No, I'm pretty sure it was the other one.
Nope, nope. Yeah, go back. It was the other one. Yeah, it was. I guess
It
it's.
was the
Or
other
is
one
that?
because you
Was
can
that
see
it?
all the boat. You can see all the boat
it said,
Yeah, right
parking
there.
spots.
Yeah, right
Yes,
there.
scroll right in there. You can see the parking spots.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's tournament ramp right there. That's tournament
so
ramp.
it should,
It's pretty clear. Like people have caught him right out in front of there from before. Like not right in front, but 400 or 500 yards out in front of the ramp before. There's been because there's a hot spot out there somewhere out in the middle. There's a pole and it's like shallow out there.
yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I bet they get on that seawall. By the way, if you do see a seawall, I would make sure I probably fished that. I've caught them there on the seawalls before. It's in the
It's going to
fall
be,
though,
Yep.
but just in the event that that might feel familiar to you. If you see one, they'll be on that. They'll definitely be on that. Hey, Mark, can we go back in the back of Woman? Go back a little bit further. There was that little island. Okay, keep going. All right, so all right, you see those pad patches right about where it says Woman, or no, the Thoroughfare Island.
yep,
Can you see that?
Up above
Right,
that.
zoom into that, Michael. Yeah, right in there. I always catch them right there. That to the bottom of your cursor. Actually the other one, the little bitty island of pads, right behind you. Yeah, right there. That the
yep,
current. You see that's what I was talking about. You see
Yep.
how
You
the
could see
channel
the.
goes right beside.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And listen, they'll get listen. They will get on the backside of that sucker too, and you'll be churning up mud and trying to get the boat to go, and you'll flip up to a pad that's got as much water as is in this drink, and they get on that stuff.
It
It's
isn't. I'm
stupid.
so surprised every time I do that. I'm like, How could I not see you? You know.
Yes, yes.
oh yeah,
You know, I don't know what that would look like in May, but I just know what it looks like every time I go there. That little island, I can't tell you how many keepers I've caught in tournaments there on that little island.
yeah, all that's good.
All of
And
it, and then the bigger ones too is good. The bigger island of pads are good too.
you're we bought Brett, fan with the frog. You throw the frog all up in that grass, they'll come after it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Even
all good.
even on low tide, that stuff will seem like on low tide and that's when I like it best. It's gonna look stupid because it's gonna be laying over and there's no water there, and you're gonna think there's no way their bass would be there, and they are over there in them paths just laying over crooked because there's no water holding them up. Like they get on that stuff, man. like to get on it. You might be a
Can you
little
zoom
bit
out on
more
that?
used to that.
Yeah, that's somewhat familiar.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
even like on Champlain, they do stupid stuff like that too, you know.
The fish know the tide is coming back, so they're willing to
Yeah,
wait.
they're not scared.
Right.
And again, don't be shy. Get in that grass. You
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
you can see there's deeper holes. There's clear spots inside.
Mhm. Almost like if you ever walked around like on the beach or something at low tide, you know how it's got those little potholes and the water's left in there, and it's it's not deep at all. It's just like wouldn't even cover your foot.
Enough.
That kind of stuff is in those pads, and the fish set in those.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I will say, Ken, so when we go there, I never really catch them much past those. I don't know what that is. It goes across the creek in the back, those wooden pole things.
Right.
I've never really done. I've caught one here, one there, past those poles, but not really good. But is it better in like May?
It can be. To be honest, I don't like going any further than that bend in that
Yeah,
creek right there on the map.
that's
Because
been my experience too.
in there, I've got caught small fish.
Yeah,
Some of those points can be good right as you first get into that creek. But I think you waste a lot of time getting in there, getting out.
yeah,
So those pads are worth it. I mean, you're going to spend quite some time hitting all those pads
yeah.
and stuff.
That's a lot.
Worth it. It can be worth it, particularly if you're trying to upgrade.
Yeah,
If you already got
So I,
it,
in that particular area, I have some marks. Some
yeah,
again, when you do the research, you can figure out that there's some old structure that's no longer there, but it's underwater. I don't know if
right.
that's worth hitting or not.
but where you see where his cursor is, I
Yep.
mean, this will not be visible to you. You'll that grass that's shown in there, but you see the channels way back in the back. You're out there, you will
Yep.
not see the channel back there. You won't know unless you know it's back there. You won't see
Yeah,
that. That grass is sticking up, and it'll cover it all up. So you have to know that it's there and be willing to go in there. But
it's
there,
it's
that
no wake,
you
by the way.
you can spend hours in there in that grass. Yeah. So
Is it worth hours? I'm hearing that it might not be.
I'm
it's
like
all
Ken.
how
I've never caught one past that hook, but I do know guys that have done well past that. I haven't.
Yep.
right. And
I
I
haven't.
tournament this weekend. I'm hoping
Because I,
whoever
I
I
actually
gonna go
I have
just
marks. I'm sorry.
and fish, so I have some idea what the grass is looking like. We'll have time to check it out. You know, we may not have time to fish it, but if because my idea is to show you these spots, try to show
Hmm.
you
Yep.
that got clean water and whether they got grass. Because some of it I want to show you on low tide, and you'll be able to
Hmm.
see clumps in here. Are there
Every
is it has
everything makes sense at low tide. It all
right?
makes sense when you see it at low tide. Everything makes sense.
We
I,
may just go and find the thicker clumps. The thicker clumps, the better opportunity you're going to have. And what I mean by that is you have opportunities to run the side of the clumps. The fish will most likely have ambush points. And now, you can run spinner baits, you can run swim jigs, you can do crankbaits over that grass, opportunities. And you can throw a stick worm right in the middle of the clump of grass and you'll be
yeah.
able to get
Be
something.
simple. Be so
We're not
simple. I want you just
making sure
whatever you do, just be simple. Don't go there being crazy. I'm gonna try this 5-inch glide bait, bro. Put that glide bait back in the glide him right back in your tackle box. Like don't go there trying to be crazy. It's like it's the most basic fishery ever. It's so basic. Um, and let's look at this other little bait. Michael, can you come out of woman just a touch? And then there's a bay right there. You see it right to go in that bay. No, 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 come back. Come no, 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 come back. Come back in.
right.
The bay over behind that island right there on the top of your screen, like to the north side of your screen there, right there. Nope, come back to the one
Next one,
one
next
down.
one down.
Yeah, next one down. Down.
Keep going.
Right
Right
there.
there.
All in there. You're all in there. That's like really shallow, and those pads kind of spread out around the backside of that island. But it's good. You want to fish that stuff all around there. It's super shallow, but don't let it scare you. You're not gonna get stuck, okay? Like you're not gonna get caught on low tide and can't get out or nothing. But you get around in there, milling around, and it's kind of hard to navigate. But take your time and um
Yeah.
one thing, fishing grass is an art. I feel like it's getting lost. When you're into this stuff, the more you can stay off the trolling motor and let that boat glide in that shallow, because the water is so shallow. In these areas that we're talking about, there's going to be a lot of people
Yep.
bouncing around, bumping around, aerators pumping, transducers ticking and talking, and everybody's trolling motor is spot locking. It's zip, 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 zip. It's just like our boats are loud. Um, the more you can get used to just letting the boat just kind of just like just it takes some patience. Like just to let it float. You might have to make a little extra longer pitch, or you might not make the best pitch now all of a sudden. But like take your time because you're gonna get back in there. You're gonna say, "Oh, there's no water, buddy." Trust me, you got to put that 21 Falcon over in there, and you're just gonna have to let her get a little dirty, okay? Like what happens, you get in there and your trolling motor hits the bottom and guys freak out. Oh, we got to get more water. It's 90 degrees. You got to get more water. No, 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 no. Settle down. Get your trolling motor out of the water and let the wind kind of like use the wind. When you get in that shallow water like that, you gotta let the wind position your boat, even come into the bay, knowing that the wind is going to be behind you. You're going to want to use it to push you. Don't try to fight it when
So
you're in shallow
boat
water or if you're
position, boat
everything.
position ahead of time, thinking
Y-
and knowing, the environment and the ecosystem around you. Where's the water coming? Where's the wind blowing? Most likely, I'm going to go this way. If I stop
uh-huh.
here, I can hit that and that and then
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in a place like that, it's so shallow that if you're trying to come against the wind, you can't do it because you're probably gonna have to have your trolling up so high that now it's it's doing
All
that
over the
number.
place. Look,
You gotta use it. You gotta use the wind. So you may come on the backside, you may come in the front side. I don't know which way you'll have to come. You'll have to figure that out. But just be thinking about that, and it will pay off big time for you. Those little things are what matters more than seven orange strands in your jig skirt. Like,
I'm glad you say
that
that
matters.
because
Yeah,
it's funny when you say that. I look more at finding the fish. I look more at where are they? Why are they there? Right? Because I hear some people talking and I'm like, man, they know a lot about these baits, man. I feel
yeah,
like inferior from that perspective, right? But at the same
yeah,
time, it's like I I can still catch fish,
yeah.
but I don't know
It's
all the names, all the baits. But I know that,
yeah,
like, I don't know what to say. It's like intuition. It's like, okay, this is a stick
yeah.
bait. That's a
Right.
jig. Here's the, yeah. I
Fishing
got to
is
get
a
better at that,
fishing.
I think.
Um, I made these mistakes. So my thing wasn't baits when I was younger. My thing, I really enjoyed like the mechanics of fishing. That's probably just something that comes along with the culture. But I like the mechanics. I like to make the flashy cast and the good hooks. It like that was my thing. If I could have went back, I would have done a lot more fishing co-angler in places that I never went to learn exactly what you're talking about. It would have paid off dividends my first big dividends my first couple of years if I had seen Champlain 3 or 4 times before I went there, or if I'd seen the Potomac 3 or 4 times before I went there. Like I never fished any of these places as a co-angler, and so even to this day, like I'm probably 3 to 5 years maybe behind a lot of the other guys. But at the same time, like I've enjoyed learning it this way. But if strictly we're getting better results were my goal, that would have been a better way to do it. But I mean, but I still like I have fun doing like figuring it out. So it was kind of hard for me to
That's
go that way.
That's for
I'm,
me. It's figuring it out is more important than so obviously catching, but
yeah,
more for
yeah.
me is you go from here to here, and
That
I'm
feeling
like,
is something.
and that's why this journey for me is like the club thing, dead
Yeah,
last, this, and it was like angler year, and I'm like, well, well, now what? And I love that
yeah.
this is an opportunity that I have because this is like
It's fun,
it's
man.
it's overwhelming, and I have confidence that I'm going to learn
Yeah, you're gonna
regardless of the
learn.
results, and
Yeah,
I'm going to be top 60 boater.
yeah.
I'm just saying
You
that
you
publicly
you're
because
gonna learn.
I need to do
You'll
it.
have a great time. Yeah, yeah. Set those goals. That's good. That's good. Set a target. Set a target for you to shoot for. It's so much fun going to places and not knowing what's going to happen, and then the feeling you get when you do see what's going to happen. Like that's a lot of fun. That's to me
and
it's worth it like that.
and on that note, it's not, even if I don't do well, right? As long as I figured something out, that to me is a win, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
If that
100%.
makes sense. Like
Oh
though,
no, it makes
even
100%
not,
sense.
I now I don't want to get skunked.
Yeah.
That would bother me.
I don't
But
think you will. I
yeah,
don't think that's pretty hard to do there.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think you
really
have a
look
good
forward
time.
to these.
Yeah, you're gonna have a good time, man. It's fun. Y'all are going to some good lakes too. Some good
Yeah.
fisheries. So it's gonna be a
Are
lot of
you
fun
doing
there. So actually,
Champlain, or I mean St. Lawrence,
I'll be in St. Lawrence for the tackle warehouse. Um,
which is a week? I think it's a week or week and a half after us.
After you, I only so
Yeah.
I wanted to fish the Toyota on Champlain was my plan. I'm not saying I'm not going to, but I'm saying it's probably a bad idea too. I'm not saying that I'm not going to do it, but it looks like it's going to be a bad idea to do that. Um, I know I want to fish with somebody in the app at one of the BFLs here at home at Clark's Hill, and I still want to do fish another BFL. I wasn't going to fish all the tackle warehouses tournaments, but it's looking like I probably don't need to not fish all of them now. I didn't want to do all of them, but I think I probably need to do them all now. So it makes it what long story short, what I'm trying to get to is like that'll be a lot. I'll be away from my app more than I want to be to do Champlain and St. Lawrence. This was closer than I feel comfortable doing it, unless I can figure out a way to stay active in here and then do that at the same time. If I can figure that out, I probably would try it, but um, that's gonna be hard
You
to
could
do.
do some lives from up there.
I thought about that. So tomorrow I got apparatus coming to turn my 12-volt system, a converter to turn my 12-volt system to run the Starlink in the boat. Um, so I want to try to do it on the water live Friday is the plan, and we'll see how that goes. It's possible. It's possible. I feel like it's something I'll do and get there and be like, I probably shouldn't have done this. That's what I feel. I feel like it's
Yeah.
gonna be one of those things that I'll try to do and I'm like, this is more than I can bite off. So, but I still want to do the straight up fishing experience thing that I was talking about, but do it a different, just kind of transpose it a different way where it's more consumable, taking off such a big chunk. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
so
I'm gonna be selfish and say I'd love to see you do some more videos from up there, even if they're not lives, but
yeah, I,
Champlain, St. Lawrence, etc.
all right. So that is exactly why I think I'm going to set out that one because if I do, I have plenty of resources up north that I could jump in the boat with and get some of the stuff done. I actually want to fly up there and do a couple lessons on smallmouth and some stuff up there this summer. That's the plan. That's what I want to do. Is exactly that. I feel like I
Cool.
feel like that'll be most profitable for all of us if I take that route versus like, because the tournament is a big undertaking up north. I already got I mean, it says what 16 hours or so on the map. It's going to take me 20 hours. So I've got a week and a half invested in that without trying to film anything for the app.
Right.
So you need 2 weeks is what you would need. So, but I want to do that because I feel like I don't have enough northern content up there. So I want to do that. So at least have that stuff. Plus the fishing's good too, man. God, it's so good.
Oh,
It's
it gets real
it's
good too. In
it's so
about
good.
probably about a month and a half.
Yeah, it's so much fun, man. It's just so much fun. And that time of the year, our fishing is trash. Once, I got 4 more weeks of it being really good. Maybe not even that. A couple more weeks of it easy, and then it's gonna get trash. It's gonna be
Yep.
really trashy. So
And ours is
that'd be a
just
good way.
heating up, and it gets
Yeah, yeah,
mid-May, early June. Yeah, I've had 100+ fish days.
yeah, yeah. Well, it'd be good. Um,
But
so
don't
so
forget, I
listen.
have a 15 up here, so if you need to, use a big boat.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I said. I mean, I could fly up there and fish with you a day or two. Like that. That's exactly what I mean. I think that'll be better for everybody involved than than doing the tournament. 'Cause it's a lot. It's a lot, dude. Like tournaments are. It's a lot. If I could make myself not practice all day, it would be easier for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to come off the water at 3 o'clock. I've never done that in my life. If you said we're coming here to fish, I'm fishing all day. like, like, I'm not fishing for a few. I'm not going to come 3 o'clock and then do what? You know. So
Think about going back
uh,
out.
yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what that feels like. Don't even know what it feels like. Okay, so um, okay, so here's the thing. We're getting a little low on time, man. I do want to go tell my kids good night before they go to sleep. Um, that process that we just broke down those two areas, I'm gonna tell you in 2 days, I don't know any reason why you would go too far from any of that what we just talked about. Even if you decided to do anything else, the same process applies to Aquia, Potomac, Quantico. It's the same thing. That's the thing I love about it. Like that same process, the same like it's going to be grass related no matter where you go. From what I remember, Quantico doesn't have any docks or anything. It's not much hard structure in there. Am I thinking right, Ken? There's nothing. It's just grass there.
Grass.
I never fished Quantico. I've been in there. I never fished it in a tournament. Um, but the same principles will apply. Everything that we said about Belmont, everything we said about um, the Mattawoman, anywhere you go on that river, it's the same process. You're looking for the same thing. It's the same thing. It will not change. So I don't think it's possible for you to fish those two areas and then not get any fish or not catch any fish or not get a clue. But in the event that you do, or in the event that you like, I just don't like this, I want to go somewhere else. You would go down to Aquia, you would go down to the Potomac Creek, and you would repeat that same process. I would do the same thing. Look for the same stuff. Same stuff. It wouldn't change that really at all. I wouldn't say really at all. Aquia is my favorite creek. That's the one I always end up fishing is Aquia. I don't even really look at anywhere else anymore because Aquia is a whole ecosystem. Like it's just a whole freaking ecosystem. Um, but if I came down and I did fish Belmont or whatever else, I'd do the same thing, man. I'd do the same thing, very same thing. So get simple. Make sure you listen. Ken, I don't know if there's a tackle store up there, so make sure you have enough plastics when you go up there because you're not gonna be able to go up there and buy nothing. The kid can probably put you on some stuff, but I can't. I don't know where the tackle store is up there. Uh, I think you're still muted, Ken. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Is there a
Hear
tackle
me?
store up there? I've never been to one up there.
Have is we have a Bass Pro Shop that's over on the other end of town, but it's mostly Dick's and Walmart. But I order
Yeah.
everything online.
Yeah. So you want to have it before you go. You don't want to get there and find out you don't have any 3/16 ounce sinkers. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be fun in DC traffic. It's just not gonna say you're not gonna get
No,
any, but
my
it's just not gonna
God,
be fun. But you
that
got
traffic
Ken there,
is
so
the
Ken's got
worst.
some. Yeah. There's,
That's
you know, it's
the
not
So
it's not like fishing in.
hit up shopblat.com beforehand right now.
Yeah, real
That's what you're
wherever
saying.
you at, just yeah, wherever you gotta go. You can go to Shop Be Like, but just make sure you get just simple stuff before you go there. You won't go there with three sinkers or a pack of hooks or something. But you don't really break off anything, but you know how that goes. Somehow you don't know what you need until you need it most of the time.
Yep.
yeah, and take the lure.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
some big snakeheads.
Yeah, snakeheads. Snakeheads, they'll tear your frogs up. Like if you go with three frogs, you're liable to lose those three in practice because the snakeheads punch holes in them.
Mm.
Stuff like that. But other than that, I think it'd be fun. Something comes up in between now and then you think about or get kind of uneasy feeling about or curious of how to run or something like that, just give me a shout. You got my number or whatever. Just give me a shout. We can run through it. I think
Yeah, I'm excited.
yeah, I'm excited for y'all. Excited for y'all. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank y'all, man. I'm glad y'all part of it. Perfect guys to start this off with, because I don't know what I'm doing, but it seems like a good idea to try to start figuring it out. Seems like
Well,
a
I'm
good thing to
enjoying
start.
the ride. I really am. I really do appreciate it because I this is it's just perfect timing and it's I love this stuff. I love breaking stuff down. I love figuring it out. I love the adventure, and more than anything, I'm making memories.
Yeah,
We
you
got
are.
this much
Yep.
time on the planet, and this
Yeah.
year I'm able to make a bunch of memories, and I appreciate it. And I just I say this and I mean it, but finding this app and just it helped me so much in my
That's
fishing
good to hear,
because
man. That's so
I'll
good to
go
hear.
so deep in this stuff, and I mean I got books over here, I got papers, I got an iPad, right? And
That's good.
what you just said, break it down, make it simple, right? You know what works
Yeah.
well. It's good. I
Yeah,
I
make it
like doing all
yours.
this because it's in my mind, but then when you
That's who
get
you
there, you
are.
just gotta focus.
Yeah, but what you're doing, that's a part of the way your brain works and the way it makes you calm. So you do need to do that. Do it the way you're doing it. I think that's good. I think that's a strength. That's going to be a strength for you. I would keep that. Keep doing that.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
works.
Be
Yeah,
that.
keep
I
doing it
thank you.
that way.
Me and Brian have reached out and we've become friends.
Yeah,
And
man.
very fortunate. We made plans to pre-fish for a couple days before the tournaments in each of the places that we go to. So me being a co-angler, I appreciate that. I didn't want to drive 10 hours, fish one day, and go home.
Yeah, and go home. Yeah, that ain't the deal for sure. Yeah, you want to make it an experience. So
So
I'm glad you agreed to do it too, Ken. This is going to be good. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with and the stories we have afterwards. For sure, should be a lot of fun.
And somehow you got me into a big old falcon.
yeah,
Yeah, I know that was totally unexpected. Yeah, right. Yeah, it goes with the yeah. Guy ends up with a whole 215 after this. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll see. You're gonna enjoy that. That's gonna be a good move though, man. Where you live, you probably
It's
that's a good thing
it
to have.
is that thing is
Yeah,
I've been out in it almost 3-4 times a week, and it is just, man, that is a
yeah,
smooth boat.
yeah. That's a good
It
move.
just
I think you're gonna enjoy that.
I got to get used to the high end with the
Yeah,
jack plate. I got to figure that
yeah,
out because I got it now. It's about 3 to 4 is where I need to be. I can't be playing with that thing up, you know, 5 and
yeah,
6.
yeah. Mine doesn't earn good. Yeah, I'm not even. I'm way lower than that, like 2 inch, three
Yeah.
quarters to 2 inches at max. So, all right, guys, y'all have a good rest of your night. I appreciate y'all. I know we did this last minute, so I appreciate y'all jumping in here and doing it on a whim. I was looking at the schedule. I was like, oh man, this is creeping up a little bit faster than I was expecting. So, like I said, just reach out if something you're not uneasy about in the next week. So just reach out and we'll figure it out.
And
All right.
There were a few folks commenting about, oh, I hope he does my lake, and I hopefully guys
Yeah.
go over the community section and make sure you drop it in there. So I
Yeah.
snagged some of those, so I'll make sure to get those to you, Brian.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, we're going to do more lake breakdowns. It seems like people really like those. I probably should do like maybe once a week do lake breakdowns. It's quite a bit of work actually, especially when you're doing one you don't know about. But yeah, I'll definitely we'll start to do more of those. Definitely like how we did here. I think that'd be a better way to do it. That was the whole thing with the pro staff that we're developing here. I got Ricky, I got Nathan. If they got tournaments, um, let's look at the lakes. Do just like what Barty did. Gather some information, bring it to the table, and let's sift through it. Like I don't want to do the work for you because that won't help you.
It,
Maybe it won't help you. You get the pieces together. Tell me about that lake, and then let's look at it. Let's put it together and see how that can work for you. Like me breaking it down won't help your mental muscle, but you finding out what's in your lake, what's won before, what usually happens in the spring, what usually happens in the summer, and bringing that all to the table, and then saying, okay, Brian, I found this out. What do I do with it? That works. That now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. So we can point you in the right direction. And what I love about fishing, I'm about to go. Fishing is art. None of it's wrong. Like there's no absolutes. I will look at the Potomac River and I think of something else. Ken looks at the Potomac River, he sees something totally different. Barney looks at the Potomac River, he sees something totally different. We have somebody else come in from outside of the app to break down, they're going to see something totally different. And they're all valid. That's the cool thing about fishing. There's so many different ways to do this. All right. All right, so we'll definitely do that. I'm glad people are enjoying this part of the app. I'll try to make it more of a overwhelming theme going into the next several months. I like doing it too. All right, guys. Let me go see if I can
thank
catch
you.
these kiddos before they conk out on me. Y'all have a good rest of your night.
You too.
If I can. All right.